What the criminals did to your feathers in the back. Show everybody what they did to you. Yeah, show everybody. Show everybody. Let's see what they did to Bandit. They punctured a hole in his side just the way they did with the baker's dog. The baker's dog. And 2 cats with directed energy weapons. Look at that, folks. Got a whole bunch of criminals living here in Jackson County, Kentucky. The people are disgusting and evil. There was one that just drove by. They're all criminals. Predators. They're all predators. This is what they did to... They did damage to 3 roosters, but here's one. This is actually Rand Paul, my rooster Rand Paul. This is what they did to him. And this is 2 weeks old, by the way, folks. It's 2 weeks old. 2 weeks old. Same thing with Bandit. This is what they did to Bandit. They burned a hole in the side of his body. And where's the other guy? The other guy is Snowden, my little Snowden boy. Oh, this is something else they do. They started this in New Jersey. They like to plant fungus around things. So I just had to remove the fungus that they planted around here that appeared overnight. They did the same thing at 52 Sutton Drive, Manalapan, New Jersey. Hey, big boy. Can I show them what they did to you? To your behind here? Can they see how red they made your behind? Look, this is what they did. They burned him. You see what they did to him, folks? This is how disgusting and cruel they are. And I want to tell you also that none of my guinea's eggs have hatched. None of them. At least half of them should have hatched by now. And I'm going to tell you why. I grabbed one of those eggs and I cracked it open. I cracked it open and whatever was forming inside was dead, black, very smelly. If that had been a viable fetus, there would have been veins, blood, and no odor. Now this is the second egg that I have cracked that has been black inside and vile odor. This tells me that the eggs have been tampered with by these criminals. This is why none of my guineas or hens' eggs have hatched. The criminals have been going into their coop. They've been harassing the roosters that would normally speak out like you just heard in the background. They grabbed my hen a few weeks ago, removed her insides, and dumped her on my driveway, removing her apron. She was wearing a new apron. It was green, nowhere to be found. It was attached to her body by 5 snaps, strong snaps, little difficult to get on and off. And those snaps would have been unsnapped by a human and removed by a human. So this is what they've been doing to my animals, folks. And right now, my cat Chicklet is suffering. He's only about 8 years old. He might not even be 8 years old. Yeah, maybe he's about 8 years old. And I noticed over the last 2 days he was very lethargic. But when I pick him up, it's like he's lifeless. There's nothing wrong with his eyes, ears, nose, fur. I would venture a guess that the criminals entered that building and do what they did to many of the other cats. The cats that are spunky and active that come to the door and want to escape, which would be the telltale signs that somebody had broken in, did their little damage and left. But if a cat escapes, right? If a cat escapes while they're doing their dirty work, no, 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 they can't do that. And they have done this now with 3 cats. How would you feel? How would your pet feel if you were not at home, let's say, or you were somewhere else and somebody came into your home and that animal was petrified? Would that animal try to run and hide, try to run out the front door? But what if the person breaking and entering, or illegal entry, what if they had a weapon, a handheld weapon to temporarily or permanently disable that animal? And that's what these criminals do. They have handheld devices. They could be lasers, they could be tasers. Hey, I've watched enough dirty cop videos on YouTube to see what a taser can do to a human. I've even watched some taser dogs that have never been the same. So it's possible that that was done to Chicklet. And I'm going to take you to see Chicklet right now. I want this documented. I want everybody to see what is happening here in Kentucky to my animals. Bandit has a hole burned into the side of his body. And I'm going to tell you that there was a woman down the block. Her last name was Baker. Her husband died. Then her dog was running around and he had a hole in the side of his body. And I got to see it up close because my other neighbor was taking care of him. It was the exact same hole that's on the side of Bandit, that was in the side of 2 of my cats. And this is being done to them. Right? And let's see, where did Chicklet go? Oh, now he disappeared. He might be in the litter box. But he's been extremely lethargic, lifeless. As if somebody assaulted him, somebody did something to him. And these criminals, they don't care. And even when Jeff was on the property, stuff was still going on here. Because when he was here, he was staying up there. And you could see that there are a lot of trees there. You can't really get a view of my house from there if you're hanging out up there. So while he's up there, they're still doing their dirty work down here. And also, you know, for, I guess, 3 days, I didn't see him, literally. 2 days, he kind of holds himself up in his RV with his doggy Bella. I did not see them for 2 whole days. Even though I was up there with a worker and back down here and back and forth all day long. Did not see him for 2 days. And then the next day, after the 2 days of not seeing him, the next morning he split. Without notification, actually. I had no idea he was leaving. So, folks, yeah. So, it doesn't matter if somebody is living up there in an RV. If I'm all the way down here, there is somebody on this property all the time. And the car that just passed by, she's part of the criminals on patrol. She is the daughter of the criminal husband and wife. Yeah. So she drives back and forth all day long also. So folks, this is Lorraine Alternative Homesteading. I just wanted to document that. I'm sorry that this is a little bit long-winded. Say hi, guys, so that they can see some little healthy birdie, right? There are a lot of criminals around here. And somebody asked me, when I first moved here, they thought that my targeting would be less than in New Jersey, in Manalapan, New Jersey. And I'm going to tell you what the difference is, folks, okay? I lived in that house for 30 years. It was exactly how I wanted it to be, at least at that time, without all the vandalism. I had a lot more protection there by way of insulation in the house, by way of a roof and a garage and the ability to move around in the house in different places. I also had all of my animals. There goes another criminal. The blackened windows. On this remote rural area, 2 cars drove by within literally the 5-minute time frame. So I had all of my animals in the house. So I did not have to go outside of my house at 1 o'clock in the morning to check on my animals. Everybody was in the same place. So in that regard, that was by far the best safety feature, is my not having to leave the house, and the fact that the house was better insulated, and that I had everything I needed there. I don't have everything I need in my house here. I have to physically go out to different buildings to do work. In addition to the fact that my yard here, if you can call it a yard, requires extensive amount of work where I need to be in different places. And when I'm in different places, like those cars driving by, usually what that means when 2 are driving by at the same time is that there is someone, that's the distraction, so that there is somebody on the property moving around that they don't want me to see, right? So it could be that there's somebody up here wandering around, and I have heard movement in the grass and have seen nothing, no animal, nothing, not a snake, not a nothing. So there are cloaked people. They have extensive technology, advanced technology that they utilize, some of which I believe the Sheriff's Department is not aware of. I don't believe they're aware of everything that's being utilized on me personally on my property, which of course makes it unbelievable to them, because even the criminals don't tell them what they're doing, right? So also the difference in Manalapan, New Jersey, I lived there so long, like I knew a lot of people. There were a lot of stores that were very in close proximity to me. So because I knew a lot of people, not everybody participated, right? Not everybody participated. There are a lot of people that were still nice to me, still cordial, not involved. But here in this rural community, it's like a dysfunctional family. That's the only way I can describe it. There's a lot of inbreeding, interbreeding, people having kids, not getting married, then getting married, getting divorced. Like, it's not uncommon for people to be married and divorced 2 and 3 times here. Kids with all different daddies, you know, mamas with different babies, and it's very common here. I think the education level is fairly low compared to Manalapan, New Jersey. In Manalapan, in order to live there, you had to bring in a certain level of income to afford even the property taxes, which my property taxes, when I left there, were almost $10,000 a year. When I moved there, they were around $3,200 or $3,400. And then, you know, over 30 years, it increased. But of course, the value of the house increased as well. But I had put so much money into that house. I added an addition onto it with a vaulted ceiling, a mini split. I had a gorgeous fence. Actually, I had 2 fences because during Hurricane Sandy, part of the fence fell down. So then I installed a new white PVC fence, which was very costly. I installed a paver patio that went from the front porch all the way around to the back. I think it was like 3,800 square feet, something like that. So my quality of life in some ways was better in New Jersey because all of my animals were in one place. I didn't have hens. I didn't have chickens. There was not an ability to have them there, although I would venture a guess that I know that some people have chickens. I've seen people with chickens in their backyard, and that probably wouldn't be a problem because chickens are not noisy, but you probably could not have a rooster. And again, I don't know. I didn't have as much land there, but I didn't have as much work either. So I kind of counter how much money I spend on maintenance here, which is close to about $4,000 a year on maintenance, and the $10,000 a year that I was paying in property taxes, and I didn't have to do very much there. if there was a pothole in front of my house, even if a perpetrator created the pothole, literally that week it would be filled. Sometimes in the same day. Yes, because, you know, that's where your property taxes go. The garbage got picked up twice a week. There was recycling that was picked up separately. There was a much better method for contact people in case of an emergency. In New Jersey, I received a text message and a phone call to my landline in case of an emergency, in case of a power outage, and, you know, the regular Amber Alerts. If there were weather alerts, we would receive from the township, from the county. We don't get any of that here. You never know what the hell's going on here because everything's done in secret. The only time you find out anything that goes on here, whether it's a town meeting or whatever, is a week later. It's not announced anywhere. It's all done behind the scenes. And then you find out about it in the local newspaper, if you're so subscribed to the local paper, a week later. But here I would say that the people are more envious, jealous, and vicious. Where the people in New Jersey, they already had beautiful homes, right? They already had beautiful homes. They already had their lives and stuff. Maybe they were a little scared, a little threatened, a little coerced, maybe even suspicious. But the neighbors that I had been friends with for a long time were not mean to me. They didn't become mean and nasty to me. They just became inconsistent and sort of vacant, you know, not friendly anymore. Don't overextend themselves. If I would call, sometimes they wouldn't pick up the phone, okay? So, but here, the men and women and the children are here are nasty and vicious. They all go along to get along, and they're completely dysfunctional. And as the Department of Forestry said to me, it's like living in the wild, wild west here. Well, you know, the wild, wild west was a long time ago. Welcome to 2023, folks. The issue I found also is in New Jersey, people were more sophisticated, if you can say that. They were more sophisticated, more educated, not everybody. And what I liked about it was there was a better ethnic mix. Ethnic meaning people of color, Asian community, Puerto Ricans, blacks, brown people, you know, just different ethnic backgrounds. So you learn a lot from different people. Here, everybody is exactly the same. Everybody intermarries. They never venture out of even this town for the most part, right? So, you know, when you're in New Jersey, a lot of times you'll travel into New York City. It's very cultural there. There's a lot to learn in New York City or in New York, or even in many parts of New Jersey, like Princeton, you know, has a big, beautiful university there. And it is an atmosphere, you know, an academic atmosphere. A lot of hustle and bustle, young people, a lot of small businesses. I don't know what it's like now after the pandemic and stuff like that. But as far as Manalapan versus here, there are so many people living in New Jersey, in Manalapan, that they can't cohort every one of them. They only get the group around you, you know, who live next door to you, like the criminal neighbors that moved in and then moved across the street in the same house, and then the new criminal neighbors moving in that reported me to the Manalapan Police Department that labeled me a terror threat for walking on my own driveway. Yes, that was Lieutenant Thomas Mantle and the former Michael Fountain, the former Chief of Police Michael Fountain, who has subsequently retired, and I hope he rots in hell. I do. I hope he rots in hell. And I hope you're listening to this, Michael Fountain. And I hope you're listening to this, Thomas Mantle, you piece of craps. You bunch of Stasi Nazi criminals. And I will never shut up about you folks. Or that, what was his, Sergeant Carey Casella, Reggie Grant. Reggie Grant was the only black police officer in the Manalapan Police Department. I thought he was the only good guy there. He was handsome, he always looked perfect to a T. He shows up at my house without a badge, without any identification, after my house is broken into, looks at my lock with the striation marks and the door jamb broken off. Oh, your house wasn't broken into. I was a locksmith before I became a police officer. I kid you not, folks. I kid you not. It's like being in the Twilight Zone. So that's what it was like in New Jersey. Now here, they don't even come to take photos of the vandalism. So the back of this building here, the underpinning on the back was sliced for the whole length of the building. It's going to cost a small fortune to fix it. When I say fix, meaning you have to take the whole thing off and replace it. So I called this into the sheriff's department, and a person with the last name Seizmore or Seizmore called and asked about it, but no one ever showed up to take the incident report. No one showed up to take the photos. In New Jersey, they were happy to take the photos. No, I shouldn't say photos. They were happy to take the incident report and then fabricate it. Here, they don't even come to take the incident report. So this is what they did, folks. They damaged this whole underpinning. This was months ago, folks. It was months ago. They cracked the whole thing. I won't bore you with all the details here, but that's what they did. And I reported it to the sheriff's department. And nobody came to take photos. No one. But that Sizemore person called. I told him what was happening. And that was it. No incident report, no incident report number, no officer to take photos. It's like it never happened. So that's the difference between living in rural Jackson County, Kentucky, and Manalapan, New Jersey. In Manalapan, New Jersey, the police are happy to come by. It's just a hop, skip, and a jump. If I call the Manalapan Police Department, they'll be zooming right over. They'll be at my house in 5 minutes. You know, they're within walking distance. They'll be at my house in 5 minutes. They'll take an incident report and then fabricate the whole damn thing. Yeah, but here, no. They won't even take the incident report or the photos. They know what's going on. They're all involved. So that's another difference between Manalapan, New Jersey, and here. Of course, there are more financial resources in New Jersey. That police department is very well funded. Very well funded. In fact, it is a hub. Monmouth County, let me just pick up these branches here. Monmouth County, the prosecutor's office, the sheriff's department, they got a complete overhaul there in Freehold several years ago. They spent millions of dollars on purchasing emblems to redecorate the sheriff's office in Freehold, New Jersey. They built a new prosecutor's office, a whole new building. Not just like a renovation, like a whole new building. And then, of course, the Manalapan Police Department got a whole new building right next to their primary location, and it doesn't have windows. And then there's a thin blue line from the road to that building. What do you think it is, folks? Do you think it's a fusion center, or do you think it's where they store all of their weapons of mass destruction? Do you think they're surveilling the local people through their ring cameras there? Or maybe it's both. Maybe it's dual purpose. Maybe it's a surveillance building, and maybe they're also storing their extra weapons of mass destruction there. You know, like the ones when you're talking to them where they disable your porch cameras and then wipe clean your digital recorder and kill a brand new battery in the digital recorder. Yes, they have the ability, they have the technical ability to do that. So those are the differences between living in New Jersey and being a targeted person and living in rural Kentucky. I feel like the people here are disgusting. I could literally, I'm going to use Karen Reacher's words. I want to spit on them. They're the lowest of the low, okay? In New Jersey, maybe the people are more sophisticated, more educated, and because I lived there for so long, they just go along with whatever is being told and then just go do their own thing. They're not nasty and vicious, except for the criminals that they actually move in. I can't say that the long-term neighbors were nasty and vicious. They just became very distant and maybe did little stupid things that were asked of them. But here, oh no, they're nasty and vicious. And the perpetrators that are on my property, it's beyond nasty and vicious. What they're doing to my animals, I mean, what they do is so obvious too. And the thing is, this is what happens, folks. For any of the people out there that were parents, you know that when your child is doing things that are wrong or bad, if you continue to allow them to do it without any repercussions, they will continue to do it. And this is what happens with malignant narcissists, right? Everybody thinks that, oh, everybody feels sorry for the narcissists. Oh, they came from abusive homes. Well, that's not always the case. Sometimes they come from homes where they are allowed to do whatever they damn please with no consequences. So they grow up very entitled. And these people are entitled because there are no consequences to what they do. They can come onto the property and kill the grass, right? They can come onto the property and kill the grass intentionally. Hello, butterfly. Oh, look, we got a butterfly. Hi. And kill the grass intentionally, and nothing gets done about it. So this, at the very minimum, it's trespassing, right? At the very minimum, it's trespassing. It's illegal trespassing multiple times. So it's not only trespassing, but it's criminal mischief. It's vandalism. It's doing something destructive to somebody else's property without their permission. And yes, this happens in Manalapan, New Jersey. And I will tell you, for the people out there who said, oh, go get security cameras. I can't tell you how much money I've spent on security cameras, surveillance systems and stuff. I have bought RF meters. I have, in New Jersey, I had Arlo cameras. I had trail cameras in my yard that were always wiped clean. And even though they were in metal boxes with padlocks, somebody would wipe clean the SD card. It would be empty. Or they would drain the batteries. New lithium batteries would be completely drained. I had a hardwire system in Manalapan, New Jersey, that was monitored by me. I also had a security system set up, I forget the name of the company, but Protection One, that then became ADP. So that was centrally monitored. And those cameras were everywhere. They were in the yard, they were in the front, they were in the driveway. So I had the Arlo cameras overlapping with those. And I also had baby cameras for the little tricks, the little games that they would play. One of the little games that the criminals would play is, I would go upstairs to my bedroom and one of my dresser drawers would constantly be open. And I'd go look on my bed, my cats would be sleeping on my bed. So I'd close the drawer. Minutes later, I would go up there and the drawer would be open again. There would be stuff on the floor. My cats would still be asleep upstairs. Nobody's, not a creature was stirring, not even a mouse. So I bought baby cameras pointing at that drawer and the second camera down in front of me where I was in the kitchen. The camera downstairs would suddenly go dead. And the camera that would be filming the drawer opening would suddenly not be filming the drawer opening. And at that time, the drawer would open. The only thing that prevented that from happening was my taping shut the drawer And I believe that this was done with electromagnetic frequencies, folks. So when everybody thinks, oh, it's a ghost, it's a ghost. No, it's not a ghost. It's the government. It's their technology. They have the ability to open and close your drawers from a distance. I witnessed it myself. I witnessed it myself with my baby monitors. They also did the same thing with trail cameras. I set up a, believe it or not, a trail camera in my bedroom pointing towards my bedroom door because these criminals were coming up the stairs and into my bedroom. And the trail cameras were working pretty well. It would catch my cats and I would see all the cute little things they were doing. And then on the day that the criminals had entered, the camera during that time was wiped clean. There were no images on it. And then the camera was moved just a little bit. Just a little bit. I had secured the camera so that it couldn't move. But somebody, it had to have been a person, actually physically moved the camera when they were up there so that the camera would not catch them as they were leaving my bedroom. That's right, folks. All with your tax dollars. Surveillance of me, little old me, with your tax dollars. And we can credit back the Manalapan Police Department. They sold their souls to the devil. They're Stasi, Nazi losers that target innocent people for profit or revenge or both. And before all of this, no, I was not a whistleblower. I did not speak out against these things. I didn't even watch TV or vote. I was just a regular divorced single mom returning to school trying to make a buck and pay back my student loans, which I did do, and live my life. But these criminals, these predators, I can only call them predators. They're predators. Cannot stand independent women that can make it on their own. They hate it. They absolutely hate it. They hate men that are single. They're despicable creatures that need to be wiped from the planet. The real domestic terrorists are law enforcement that goes along to get along and perpetrates crimes against innocent people. I think they intentionally hire psychopaths to fill those jobs. And I will attest to the fact that many of those creepos at the Manalapan Police Department, like Mantle, he's a narcissist. He is a narcissist. You wouldn't know it by just talking to him for the first time. But he gives it away every time. He's got the narcissist smirky grin. Yeah, the narcissist smirk with a little corner of the lip go up, the little smirk, like he's getting away with something. I guarantee he was one of those pampered, bratty kids. Absolutely believe that he was one of those kids that didn't get spanked enough, that didn't get reprimanded enough. Got to do whatever he pleased. So, folks, this is a little bit of a rant. I did not intend for this to be a rant. I just put water on to boil for coffee. It's, I don't know, it's like 10:30, 11 o'clock in the morning. This is what it looks like here. It looks very pretty here today. It's Saturday, by the way, folks. It's Saturday. Happy Memorial Day weekend to everybody. I do want to say that on the 23rd that just passed, it was 4 years since my moving here to rural Kentucky. 4 years. So much has happened in 4 years, folks. Yes, in 4 years here in rural Kentucky, I'm proud to say that I have captured many license plates. I was able to expose my criminal neighbors on neighborhood wars. I was able to file a really good complaint with the Attorney General's office, Daniel Cameron, in the criminal division, and provide exemplary evidence. By the way, I have not received a response back yet. But I'm going to be pushing for a response real soon. And then that letter is going to be making the circuit. It's going to be making the circuit to anybody that I didn't get the first time around. So I was pleased to get a response from Governor Andy Beshear, who of course referred me to the criminal division of the Attorney General's office. But I will be sending him a follow-up that I have not received a response to the bona fide information. And also, Muck Rock, I didn't get my letter out to you, but you too will be getting a certified letter, Muck Rock. But this is Lorraine Alternative Homesteading. I'm going to sign off for now. Hope everybody's doing well.